Welcome back to the 10-second runoff powered by Culture Media with your hosts Joe Mitchell, Alec Escade, producer Magic Mikey Shiaza. We're here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Look, last week we talked about a couple teams, USC being one of them. I'll tell you what, USC fans were not happy with us in the comments on YouTube. So I believe I had them going 10-2. You had them 9-3. You'd have thought we shot their dog.
Yeah.
It was ugly.
All of them think they're going undefeated.
Now, here's the thing. Lincoln Riley's the head coach over there. We have a couple teams to talk about. Let's start with his brother, Garrett Riley, over at Clemson, arguably one of the best hires of the offseason.
Yeah, I think so. Especially after what he did last year at TCU. I mean, it's hard not to think he could do the same thing at Clemson.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more talent. He's got a great quarterback. I'm like really excited to see what this offense does with him at obviously the helm.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a step up from the offense. I don't know if Clemson is I don't know if they're in stride or on par with where they want to be as a program, but by no means is this team like falling off.
No. The key is, I mean, when you have so many freaking playoff appearances, at some point, anything else is bust.
Yeah,
in their eyes, right? So that's kind of the issue.
It's the same situation to me with Clemson and Alabama. They're both putting up 10-win seasons, winning their conference. Alabama not in the last year, but they won it the year prior. So it's tricky because they can put up these double-digit win seasons, win their conference, and then they just don't have the year they're expecting. In Clemson's case, still win their conference, right. And all of a sudden they're like, well, Clemson's not making a playoff. Hey, they're right there.
Right.
They're right there.
And then I don't think the bowl game loss really helped with that kind of side of things. But, yeah, I mean, you're definitely used to Clemson.
Yeah, but but Dabo had already made the switch to Cade Klubnik at that point. He had already pretty much invested in the next season. The bowl game wasn't – look, yeah, it's a New Year's Six bowl. You want to go win the bowl game. But when you're building a program and your goal is the playoff every year, I'm not mad at the decision to run your freshmen out there.
Right.
Are you? Matter of fact, let's talk about Cade Klubnik.
Yeah, I think he's legit. I think we had talked about kind of Quinn Ewers, and I started to compare the two. I personally think he'll have a better year than Quinn Ewers.
Okay.
I think Klubnik is really, really good. He's got to show me a little bit more on the ground. But, dude, he's got a freaking cannon. He's got a big arm. They're
being led by two great quarterback minds. You're looking at Steve Sarkisian down in Texas, obviously Garrett Riley at Clemson. I feel great about Cade Klubnik. You called it last year that before the season would end, he'd take over at the helm for Clemson.
Yeah.
He did. Now, you kind of took a step back after the bowl game. You said he didn't give you everything you were expecting.
Right.
I think that's, honestly, to be expected from a freshman quarterback. I don't have many concerns with Klubnik. I think he's going to be solid.
Me either. And I think, being able to establish the run game, too, with Will Shipley. I mean, Will Shipley was – I'm going to say even quietly one of the better running backs in the country last year.
Yeah, I don't think it was that quiet.
Yeah, but he's not going to be on anybody's even top 5, top 10 list right now, which is nuts to me.
I'll be on mine.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah. So I guess that makes 2 lists he'd be on. But yeah, he's really freaking good. And so when you're able to establish the run game with a great offensive line, and you have somebody like Klubnik, I think he balls this year.
Yeah, and so you look at Cade Klubnik, he's got the 5th best Heisman odds coming into the season. You have Will Shipley, an experienced junior, a guy, close. I want to say he had the upper 900 rushing yards last year. I don't know if he broke 1,000.
I don't know.
Mikey, will you check that for me? I don't know if he broke 1,000 rushing yards. That's Will Shipley. But regardless, again, on my top 5, top 10 list, one of the best running backs in the game. That being said, flip over to the defense. I mean, you're talking about one of the best front sevens in college football.
Right. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
He actually did run for 1,000. He ran for 1,182 with 15 touchdowns.
Damn, so
almost 100 yards a game.
Almost broke 1,200.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not because they didn't play 12 games. But, yeah, that's a hell of a season. What?
Yeah, okay. I thought you were correcting me. You were correcting yourself.
No. I was like, that's 100 yards. No, it's not. What were we talking about? Yeah, the defensive line. I mean, up until very recently, and we were talking about it before the pod, that was D-line U.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Georgia, I feel like, has now taken that cake. But, yeah, when it comes to front sevens and any team coached by Dabo Swinney, they're always going to have a great front seven.
Yeah, and so
a great defense.
They would have liked a little bit more out of their secondary towards the back half of the season.
Yeah.
But at free safety, you got Jalen Phillips, you got Andrew Makuba at strong safety, 2 experienced guys. Strong safety junior, free safety graduate. So
yeah, Makuba's nuts.
Yeah. So I think this defense is really going to come together, barring injury. That's the best defense in the ACC.
Oh, for sure.
Including Florida State, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're.
And I think Florida State's got a fantastic defense.
Me too. I think that's better. I think they're better than Florida State too. I mean, barring injury, you're talking about a top 10 defense for sure.
I don't think they're. I don't know if their team is better than Florida State as a whole.
Their defense, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. That's interesting. We'll get to that, but yeah, I think they have an insane defense, and that's another thing that's going to help your quarterback, especially a young quarterback. You know, to have such a great run game and a good defense, like you can't really set him up any better. Like you said, with the coaching staff he's got, yeesh. Now, right, we talked about it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. Top 5 Heisman odds is, that's a stretch for Klubnik. To me, they got to win a bunch of games.
I mean, you think they're gonna win less than 10?
There's a shot. Surely we'll get there.
I don't think so. I don't think they lose less than 10. I mean, I could see it. I think they're
okay.
I don't think they're gonna win less than 10. Rather, looking at their schedule, and we'll get into that in a minute. I think their absolute floor, if they had the worst possible season they could have, they'd win 8 games.
Yeah.
And I don't expect that. I think they win 10 or 11. I'm going to stick with 10 for now. Like I said, we'll get into the schedule in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But you said you don't like that Klubnik has top 5 Heisman odds. I think when you're looking at pairing Klubnik with a guy like Garrett Riley, who put Max Duggan in New York, you put Will Shipley to the, right next to him. And I know you can talk about TCU. They had running backs last year. I think it's a similar situation with a better quarterback.
Than Duggan?
Yeah.
I mean, possibly.
A higher ceiling than Duggan.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, you want to get into the schedule?
Yeah, so they start with Duke at Duke.
Yeah.
So they go to Duke. What do you think?
Clemson is Clemson's a much better team than Duke. I expect them to win this game. But it's interesting that, this is the game they're going to open up with. They play Charleston Southern in week 2. They very well could have opened up against Charleston Southern.
Got all the nerves out the way and then hit Duke.
This is a tough first game of the year. I don't think it'll be a super tight game. I do think Duke's going to be better than you expect this year at least.
Yeah. I think I don't think this game will be too close. I got to buy at least 3 possessions for Clemson, of course.
Okay, I'm closer to 14 to 17.
Oh, points.
Yeah, no, not 14.
Not a
17.
margin. Okay, all right. Yeah, I feel that. Well, yeah, and when you look deeper into it, 17 points is 3 possessions.
Okay, but 14's not.
Yeah, I know. All right. Just want to be a jerk for a second. Yeah, I mean, I got Clemson though, and like you said, too, not a close game.
Yeah, so we both have them 1-0. They get Charleston Southern and FAU at home. They win both of those.
Yeah.
Then
FAU's a 7:00 kick.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's scheduling. Week 4, they get Florida State at home. This is going to be – I think Duke's going to be a test for them, but it's so early in the year that I don't know if either team will be quite established. I think that works in Florida State's favor, and they win by 14-17, like I said.
Clemson's favor, yeah.
Clemson's favor. But then you get Florida State week 4. This is, you're creeping up on mid-season here. First quarter of the season's done. This is going to be the first real – I mean, you're talking about college game day potential here.
Yeah, I think there's a good shot. It depends on what happens with Florida State in the first 3 weeks, but this could be a top 10 matchup for sure. So you alluded to the fact that they might not be better. Let me get your synopsis here.
Yeah, I like Florida State all around. I look at their defense. I see guys like Jared Verse. I look at their offense. I see, Jordan Travis. In my opinion, they got a better tight end. Their wide receiver core is probably the best in the ACC.
Yeah.
I just look around that entire team from top to bottom, and I'm like, I don't see a lot of weaknesses.
Right.
Whenever we did the segment on Florida State, there's clearly, portions of that team that are better than the other. But I don't think there's any true weaknesses. I think the same can potentially be said about Clemson. But I like Florida State. I'll take Florida State over Clemson, and I like them in this game.
Really? Okay, yeah. I took Clemson before. I'll take Clemson again. To me, Clemson, and like you said, has gotten kind of in the midseason form at this point. Like as far as that's concerned, when you have a coach like Dabo Swinney, it's not going to take long. I think it'll be a close game for sure. I think it being at home is going to help. I mean, obviously it's going to be freaking packed. Mm-hmm. And I think Clemson takes in a close one.
Yeah. So you look at both teams here, but specifically Florida State. They open up against LSU in week 1. If they can find a win there, they're going to skyrocket in the rankings. Mm-hmm. Though it could potentially be favored. I don't think they will be favored. I think it'll probably be a 2.5 point line either way.
At Clemson, yeah.
But if Florida State loses to LSU, they're now in week 4. They're in wounded animal mode. They already have a loss on their schedule. They got to get this ACC win. Yeah. I think this game would just mean more to a Florida State team. And with the weapons that they have, it's going to be really hard for me to not take them.
I feel that. All right. Like I said, I think it's going to be close. I don't think you're wrong for picking either side.
Week 5, they go to Syracuse. I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Then they get Wake Forest at home. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say that's a win.
Me too.
Then they go to Miami. Thoughts here?
I got them. Yeah, I got them as a win.
I got them as a win too. We'll cover Miami in a second. To NC State, I have another win. So right now I have them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. And they get Notre Dame at home on November 4th.
Yes, I'm going to take Notre Dame. I took them. I took Notre Dame last year. There were definitely a couple of people that are like, dude, what?
We both took Notre Dame. We put Clemson on upset alert.
Yeah, and they got blown out. I think it was 35-14. And realistically, it was like a 35-7 game. They scored late. So to me, I'm not going to say that's going to happen again, but Notre Dame's got their stuff together now. By that time of the year, they had their stuff together as well. But my point is, coming into this season, after last year's, first year with the new head coach, they ball like. Yeah, watch out for Notre Dame this year for sure. Mm-hmm. We ought to cover them next week. I mean, I got Notre Dame in this one. That's my first game drop for them.
Yeah, so you're looking at Sam Hartman over at Notre Dame as the quarterback. Marcus Freeman, that team really started to gel late last year. I think Notre Dame's defense is going to be really good. But I think with one ACC loss going into the 9th game of the season, I think Clemson will have gelled. That offense will be in full form. I'm going to take Clemson.
Got you. Yeah.
Then they get Georgia Tech and UNC at home. They're going to get the win over Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
NC State or UNC, how you feel about that one? UNC's got the third best odds to win the conference.
All right, Clemson. I mean, the key is Drake May. I mean, if he's doing what he was doing at the beginning of last year, they'll be tough to beat, just like they were last year. Mm-hmm. But once he kind of started to crumble, it went downhill from there. So if he does anything like that, this will be a blowout Clemson's way.
Yeah, I think Drake May is going to be a top 10 draft pick this year. Probably be the second.
Probably top 3, yeah.
He's going to be the second quarterback off the board.
Yeah, for sure.
The difference here is the defense.
Yeah.
I think whenever Clemson's front 7, I think they're just going to be able to put pressure on Drake May, make him make decisions quickly. And I don't think North Carolina is going to be able to do the same to Klubnik. And if North Carolina does decide to bring the pressure and try and shut down the pass game, whatever they try to do, I think they just put the ball in the hands of Will Shipley. Yeah, I think it's a really bad matchup for North Carolina.
I agree. And UNC gave up a 60-piece to App State last year, and their defense hasn't gotten any better.
I think they've gotten a little bit better, but not good enough to really push Clemson.
Yes, I agree.
And then they go to South Carolina for the last game of the year. At this point, I have them 10-1. South Carolina won this game last year.
Yeah, I got them 10-1, and now I got them 11-1. I think they beat South Carolina this year. It's a vengeance thing. Mm-hmm. They beat them at Clemson last year. This time they go to South Carolina, and I think they take it, oddly enough.
I would agree. Last year, South Carolina won that game, and they really just kind of never went away.
Right.
I think this year, and to be honest, I think South Carolina has even gotten better. I think what Shane Beamer is doing over there is really impressive. I think Spencer Rattler feels really comfortable in that offense now. I don't think it'll matter. I think with Garrett Riley coming over to Clemson and having that offense going, last game of the year, that at this point they're 10-1, in my opinion. At this point they're 10-1. They're looking at going back to the ACC championship.
Playoff hopes, big time.
Playoff hopes. If my prediction is correct, they would likely, because I have Florida State in the ACC championship. If my prediction is correct, they would get another opportunity to avenge their only loss. All of that on top of the vengeance factor that you mentioned, I think Clemson wins this game by 14 or more.
This one? Yeah, I agree. Now, I mean, since we both have them in that championship game, what you think? You said Florida State, do they avenge the loss, in your opinion?
So whenever we talked about Florida State a couple weeks ago, I said no. I think Florida State does what is really, really difficult to do in college football. I just think their team is so good, and I think they're a great team. I'm looking at what USC did last year, right? Their only loss of the regular season was Utah. They played Utah again in the Pac-12 championship, lost. I think something similar is going to happen. I'm going to take Florida State in the regular season, and I'm going to take them in the ACC championship. Clemson fans, I think that's the only 2 losses y'all have. It sucks that it's Florida State. Don't come at me too hard in the comments. I know y'all will.
Yeah. That's how that goes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have them there too. I think it's dumb not to put Florida State there as well. I think Florida State beats them.
So Florida State avenges the regular season loss for you?
No, I have Florida State beating them twice. I mean, no, yes, Florida State, yes.
Yeah.
Florida State avenges, yes.
Cool.
Correct.
All right, so I have them 10-2, or I'm sorry, I have them 11-2 after conference championship week. You have them 12-1.
No.
Oh, you have them losing to Notre Dame.
Yes.
Sorry. You have them losing to Notre Dame. So same situation, just different losses.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, you want to move over to?
So both missing the playoffs too.
Yeah. This is an interesting team here that we'll talk about next. Let's go over to the SEC West and Texas A&M. Texas A&M had they didn't even get a bowl game last year. They didn't cross 6 wins. They have one of the most talented rosters in the country, but just the situation over there with Jimbo and that offense, and Devin Achane got hurt last year. What are they going to have to do to reestablish themselves as not contenders, but even just competitors in the SEC?
I mean, you got to win 7 or 8 games. We'll get to their schedule. I mean, their schedule's no cakewalk. But yeah, I mean, you got to come back strong. Mm-hmm. You can't just get a bowl and win the bowl at 7-6. Like you got to go. You got to win at least. Lord, dude, and I mean, like you said, to bounce back. I'm looking at you need 8 wins. From some crap like that, you could, like, all the fans, you could be like, all right, it was a down year, whatever it is, and you gotta come back.
Yeah,
especially after getting the best recruiting class ever at the time last year.
Mm-hmm. And then another good, not great, but another good recruiting class this year.
Yeah,
I want to say the recruiting class was top 20. I don't think it was inside the top 10.
Yeah, really?
I think it was 17th.
Really?
You'll have to check me on that. I want to say it was 17th. But yeah, I mean, you look at this receiver room. I know we have a little disagreement here. Yeah. I think this is arguably one of the best receiving rooms in the SEC. You look at Evans.
When you say I mean, yeah, because you immediately can write off 6 SEC teams. So yes, yeah, I think they're top 3. Yeah.
I think they're right up there with. I think when you're talking about receiver room alone, I think they're right up there with Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah,
you look at
LSU.
You look at Evan Stewart, sophomore, 5-star. Noah Thomas, sophomore, 4-star. They're both out of that recruiting class last year, or 2 off seasons ago. That was the best all time.
Right.
So what year recruiting class are you looking for?
This past one.
23. 23.
Yeah.
So they're ranked 15th.
15th. Okay, I said 17th. But
they have 2 5-stars, 11 4-stars.
Yeah. Yep. So Evan Stewart, 5-star sophomore. Noah Thomas, 4-star sophomore. Anaya Smith, he's a redshirt senior. He's listed as the slot. Honestly, he's good. He's really good. But I think what you'll see more of is probably Moose Muhammad this year, and he's a baller certified. Yeah. So you look at those 4 guys that'll just be able to rotate and go and go and go. Man, that's weapons.
Yeah, look at what Moose did in the last game of their year. Mm-hmm. I think he had like 7 receptions for like 160 and a touch or 2.
Yeah,
like that dude could, like you said, certified baller for sure.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think that's who you see the most of. There's a shot. He's not even listed in the top 3 on their depth chart. 3 receivers, that is. I don't mean he's 4th string, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he really could be their biggest producer this year.
Yeah.
Now the key there is Connor Wegman too.
Yes.
He came on late. Obviously they desperately needed him, to say the very least. Like in a big way. I mean, like they needed somebody to show the hell up. Mm-hmm. And he did. So he's one of my, like, I need to watch him every freaking week guys. Mm-hmm. Like he's really fun to watch. I think he's gonna have, I'm not gonna say a breakout year, because I think he kind of broke out last year. He was throwing for 300 yards like it was nothing. But like if he could string together some games, like he's legit.
He slid a little bit under the radar on the national scene because of their record. But whenever he took over, that team looked different.
Yeah.
He's just stone cold, and he was out of that. He's a sophomore out of that big recruiting class a year ago.
Yep.
You said Connor Wegman would be the key. I think the key for this Texas A&M offense, which is this is easy pickings here, but Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
The question is Jimbo Fisher still the one running the show on offense, or is he actually going to hand the keys to Bobby Petrino?
Yeah.
When you're talking about Petrino, you're talking about a guy who is experienced at the offensive level. He's been a head coach before. When he was at Arkansas, they're one of the best offenses in the country, or at least in the SEC. But if he can duplicate that with the talent he has on this roster, with the talent that he has on the roster, and like you said, yes, he can. The question is, will he be able to?
Right.
Will the keys be in his hands? If all of that can play the way it should for Texas A&M, and Bobby Petrino can really put this offense, at least, I think the defense is fine, but if he can put this offense back in a situation where they're supposed to be, you might see a big turnaround.
To me, that's the difference between anywhere from 6 to 7 wins all the way up to 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Like, to me, when you're talking about somebody that could really have this offense running like smoothly, and the absolute opposite that we saw last year, like, and we had talked about it, like the range for a lot of teams is like, all right, they're here to here. This range for this team is like here to here.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like you said, I mean, again, easy pickings, super cliche, but I think that's the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. So, and then, dude, Ruben Owens. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun to watch, too. This team's very interesting. Obviously, we're about to get in the schedule breakdown, but I think there's a real shot they could be super legit.
Yeah, and I think if you just look at the talent on this team alone, on paper, this should be one of the better teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
I don't think they will be.
No.
But on paper, they should be. And even
they'll be one of the better teams in the SEC, I think.
I think top half.
Yeah.
But even if you're looking at last season where they just went off the rails completely, they underperformed all year. The talent on that team, despite everything else, was good enough to play with Miami or beat Miami, beat LSU, push Bama at times. Like that game came down to
real close.
Yeah, like the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
So I think if you're just looking at the talent on this team, they should be one of the better teams in the SEC.
Yeah, it should be one of the better teams in the country.
So let's get into schedule breakdown.
They won't be. So, University of New Mexico, obviously they get them at home.
It's a win.
Yeah, for sure.
So, then they go to Miami.
Yeah. Again, we're about to talk about Miami. I'm going to take A&M in this one. I think they beat them again. They definitely have the more talented team. I think this is a tough one to predict. To me, these two teams are very similar in nature in that there's a whole lot of talent, and every college football fan is on the edge of their seat waiting for it to happen. You know what I mean? Like poking it with a stick, like waiting for it to get freaking, riled up, like getting going. I just think the talent here is the biggest key.
Mm-hmm. I think Texas A&M is going to have a better defense than Miami will.
For sure. Yeah.
They've got the better roster top to bottom. But if I'm specifically looking at Miami, they've got a lot of positions on their team that are already established. One of them that's not necessarily established that you could see, you could see a couple guys pushing for that starting job is Mike linebacker.
Yeah.
If I'm Texas A&M, I'm attacking the middle of the field. I'm making whoever earns that spot, I'm making them earn that spot. They're going to have to make the plays, especially with this wide receiver room, with Ruben Owens. Like, I'm going at the middle of the field all game. And then whenever they start to figure that out, now you can stretch it or you can attack the edge in the run game. I feel good about Texas A&M in this one. I have them starting 2-0.
Me too. The biggest key, and I know we'll get there too, is I'm not sold on Van Dyke at all. So whenever we get to Miami, we'll talk about that. But I don't think Miami's offense is going to be all that, which doesn't bode well when you're playing a defense as well, like Texas A&M.
Okay.
I don't think it's a super high-scoring game, but I think Texas A&M takes it. I'm not going to say by a ton. I'm not going to say by one possession, but 7 to 10 points, I think.
Okay.
So
then they get a 4-game home stretch starting with ULM. They win that game.
Yeah.
Then they get Auburn.
I think they win that one.
You think they win the Auburn game?
Yeah.
I think this one's a coin flip.
Okay.
I'm excited to see Hugh Freeze at Auburn.
Me too.
I think in year one after, having a couple down years, I don't know. It's a coin flip. Texas A&M should win, but I think Hugh Freeze is a really, really good coach. This is entirely dependent on, this game to me is entirely dependent on if Bobby Petrino can take over the offense.
Yeah.
If Jimbo has anything to do with the offense this year, I like Auburn. If Bobby Petrino is the one really, really running the show, and I have to see that, I don't know. We really just don't know. If Petrino is the one really running the show, then I like Texas A&M.
I got you. Yeah, I'm taking A&M for sure.
Because
I'm
we
taking
don't
them either way.
Because we don't know, and Petrino is the offensive coordinator, I'm going to assume he's running the show entirely, and I'm going to take Texas A&M. But I think it's a coin flip.
Okay, I understand.
Then they get Arkansas at home.
Loss.
I agree.
Yeah, I think Arkansas is going to be pretty damn good this year.
Mm-hmm. I think Arkansas's got one of the better offenses. I think they'll be able to, just KJ Jefferson. I think they'll be able to really attack Raheem Sanders over there. They'll be able to find the holes in the Texas A&M defense.
With Raheem Sanders.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Texas A&M's defense is going to have a bunch of holes, but
right.
I mean specifically in coverage and schematically, I think they'll be able to attack it.
I agree. Yeah, KJ's legit. I mean, the dual threat there is insane.
So I have them 4-1 going into October. They get Alabama at home, and
No, you have them. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
4-1 going into.
No. You have them 3. Oh, who'd you take in the Auburn game?
I took Texas A&M.
Oh, okay.
I said because Petrino's the OC, I have to assume he's going to be the one running the show.
For sure. Yeah, we're on the same page.
So I have them
4-1.
4-1. Then they get Alabama at home.
Loss.
Now the last couple seasons, this has been a really close game, despite everything.
Yeah.
Now, yes, they lose to Alabama.
Yeah, I got them dropping this one.
But I don't think it's a blowout.
No. And like you said, it really hasn't been, like, I'm not going to say historically, because really they haven't been playing Alabama that long, but in the last couple of years, it hasn't been a blowout.
Yeah. Hadn't been a blowout. I think Alabama's defense is just too good. I think Alabama's defense is too good, and regardless of who the quarterback is at Alabama, I think they'll be able to put up points. I think they'll be able to put up 28 to 31 points in this game. Yeah. Then they go to Tennessee.
Yeah, they lost.
They lose.
Yeah, they didn't win that game.
They lose. Let's break
That's
this
a
one.
tough stretch.
Let's break this one down a little bit.
I mean, like, if you're looking at all these freaking, like, we could take a whole lot of teams randomly selected, and you give them this 3-game stretch, most of them are going to go either 1-2 or 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, we have them going 0-3, but that's the luck of the draw.
I mean, these 4 teams, I don't know. Will you look up SEC championship odds? I want to say Arkansas has probably got the 5th best odds.
Somewhere in there.
I want to say Arkansas has got the 5th best odds, but it's a 3-game stretch with 5 of the top teams with the best odds. Let's see. He's pulling that up.
Yeah, but Tennessee, I think you got to have a big offense if you want to beat A&M. Not because they're going to score a lot of points, but because you got to score in their defense. Yeah. Tennessee's got a big-ass offense. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at Georgia leading the way at -115, Alabama plus 300, LSU plus 450. Arkansas is way down here at plus 10,000.
Oh, really? Where are they? What
so
number?
It's Georgia, Alabama, LSU, A&M, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas. So they're at 10.
Yes, sir.
Texas A&M having the 4th best odds is honestly nuts to me.
Well, I think that's because I think if you're the sports books, you have to look at it 2 ways. Same way I'm looking at it, right?
No,
you can say if Jimbo's got the reins, they're going to be bad. If Bobby Petrino's got the reins, they're going to be good on offense.
Possibly.
But I think they have to err on the side of them being really good on offense because they're playing with a lot of money here.
Well, if they're really good at offense and they're really good at defense, that means they're going to be really good. We have them dropping 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if they are really good, I don't think they beat any of those 3 teams. And if that's the case, good luck winning anything significant.
Yeah, I'm with you. That really, that's wild to me that they would have the 4th best odds in Arkansas.
When he said Arkansas, you and I both went, "Yep." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it was A&M. Like, no, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got them. So you have them 4-1.
I have them 4-3 at this point.
Okay, going to South Carolina
getting
South Carolina at home.
So I actually like them to win this game.
Okay, me too.
I like them to win this game. And like I said, the last 2 segments we've talked about South Carolina, and we had South Carolina losing both of those games. I don't think South Carolina is going to be a bad team. Whenever we break them down, we'll talk about that more. Yeah. But I do like Texas A&M in this one.
I think there's a shot they finish with a better record than A&M. I do.
Potentially.
Obviously, they get Clemson. That draw is not great for their odds there. But yeah, I think they're going to be really, really, really good. I just think A&M, I mean, coming off of a stretch like this, like, that's a must-win game. It's not a team like any of the other 3. Like, you got to win that game, and I think they do at home.
And then they go to Ole Miss on November 4th.
Got them dropping that one.
I don't. I have them winning that game.
Okay. I think it's going to depend on who the quarterback at Ole Miss is, but I got them dropping that one.
Okay. And then they get Mississippi State at home.
I think they win that game.
Me too. So at this point, I have them on a 3-game win streak. They win game 11 against ACU. And then the last game of the year, they go to
Abilene Christian, man. I don't know.
They win that game. Then they go to LSU. So they beat LSU last year at home. LSU is the 5th ranked team in the country at the time. Yeah. And that game was never in doubt for Texas A&M.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they go to Death Valley and lose.
I do too. I think LSU beats them. I think this is a revenge game for LSU. Yeah. I think LSU will be sitting in a great spot again.
I think they're playing for a lot again.
Yeah, I think again they'll be in a position to play for the SEC, potentially make a playoff push at that point. I think
I got them. Yeah.
I think LSU wins this game handily.
Me too.
And that would put them 8-4 on the regular season for me.
That would put them 7-5. Well, no, 8-4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 7-5.
Yep.
She got them 7-5. So, hey man, a whole lot better than 5-7. 7-5 doesn't mean you're a bad team when you play in the SEC West.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. So, I mean, again, you put a lot of people with Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and LSU on the schedule. They're going to drop a lot of games too. Mm-hmm. And Miami as a non-con, like, come on. So, yeah, I got them 7-5, but by no means bad. They'll probably get a freaking random Big Ten team in the bowl game and slaughter them. I had to say that because I'm 7-5, so I felt bad. But no, I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Like, they're one of those teams that's, like, really good, and everybody's like, oh, God, we got A&M now. And they get slaughtered. So.
I think this is one of those teams that just has, they play some tough teams on their schedule. I mean, like we said, Arkansas, they may be favored against Arkansas when the odds come out, but I like Arkansas in that game. But Alabama, Tennessee, LSU are games. All three of those games, they won't be favored.
Yeah.
So I think even if you just go by who's favored in the sports books, they'd be 9-3. So I have them losing one extra game. I don't think this is a bad season for them.
You think they're favored over Ole Miss for sure?
I would imagine.
I think with a couple losses down the stretch, I don't know about that.
But I mean, maybe not. But I would imagine they would be.
I think that's a push game as far as odds go. But I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't think 8-4 is a bad season for them. I think it's a hell of a step up from last year. Obviously, they win 3 extra games, and potentially they could be playing for a decent bowl game if nothing else.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move over to Miami.
Yeah. I think we should start with what I've already kind of brought up. Tyler Van Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of disappointing last year. I'm not gonna say he was bad. He was disappointing. How do you kind of see this?
Yeah, I don't mind Tyler Van Dyke.
Yeah.
I think this is a guy that can go out and be a really good quarterback, a staple for your offense. I don't think he's a guy that can go win Heisman.
No.
But I don't think he's a detriment to your team by any means.
Ooh, he was in a couple games last year. I don't know. I just, to me, when you're talking about guys like Klubnik, when you're talking about guys like Jordan Travis. Obviously, we're going to get into those. I mean,
guys who all have top 10 Heisman odds.
No, I understand, but that's my point, right? Those are your competitors. You're playing in a conference that you gotta beat those teams if you want to play with the big, because they're not going to lose a lot of games, like we've already talked about in the last couple and today. Like to me, you have to have a quarterback to compete in that division. Not to mention the other team.
Conference, they don't even have divisions.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Conference. Not to mention the other team in that conference that's pretty good. Drake May. You know what I'm saying? And so, no, it's not the Pac-12, quarterback-wise, but you gotta play with the big boys with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Unless you have a insane defense, and I think their defense is good. I don't think it's insane.
No, I will say one piece of that offense that I really, really like, and they have some interesting things going on the offense.
Yeah.
But one piece of that offense that I really, really like is running back Henry Parrish.
Yeah.
Last year he was solid. Last year we talked about him going. Matter of fact, whenever we covered that Texas A&M versus Miami game in week 2 last year, we talked about him, and I thought he was a key to that game. Texas A&M's defense just stood tall.
They shut him down.
Yeah, they just stood tall. But I think Henry Parrish is going to have a breakout year this year. I don't dislike Tyler Van Dyke as much as you do. I actually like him. I think he can be a rock to that offense. I don't think he's going to go throw for 4,000 yards or anything like that. But I do think that he can be. I think he can make this offense run smoothly, being that it's his. He's experienced in the program under Mario Cristobal. Also, talking about Mario Cristobal, they're recruiting like crazy.
Oh my God, yeah. And I knew they would. I mean, you have the draw Miami, you have the NIL money. I knew that was going to get there. No, I'm not taking that away from Cristobal. I think he's a good recruiter. I think he's shown that. But they saw what Cristobal has done in his past. Like, I'd want to go play in Miami for Mario Cristobal. Mm-hmm. So, like, I understand that. I mean, I figured very much so that once NIL hit, Miami was going to get going.
Now, this is where it gets tricky. You look at the offensive line. There's a lot of transfers on it.
Yeah. The right side of the line scares me.
So let's start at center, right? So they bring in a transfer, Matt Lee. I think that's solid. He's established. He's going to be their center. You look at left guard. You have Javion Cohen. He's another transfer. He's a senior, though. He's an experienced guy. I think he's going to be able to really hold down that left guard position. You're talking about the right side of the offense. You got a sophomore at right guard. You got a freshman at right tackle. That's tricky.
5-star freshman.
5-star. He's a baller, but nonetheless, freshman.
A freshman. Yeah.
Inexperienced.
18-year-old kid. Yeah.
And then
Possibly
another
19,
and then another transfer at tight end, Cam McCormick. I think he's going to be solid. He's a senior, another experienced guy.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest piece of offensive line is Zion Nelson.
Yeah.
That dude's a G. I think their offensive line could go one of two ways, and I don't think there's a lot in the middle. I think they could possibly be one of the best units in the ACC or really be the detriment of that team.
They need to come together and come together quickly. They need to get
Yes.
cohesive really fast because they play Texas A&M again in week 2.
And there's not a lot of people on this team that have played next to or alongside each other.
Yeah.
I said team. I think I said team. I meant unit.
Yeah, on the unit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. They open up the season against Miami, Ohio on September 1st. Obviously, I like them winning that game.
Yeah, me too.
Then they get Texas A&M.
Yeah, I got them dropping that one.
Yeah, we
got
talked.
A&M winning that
We
game.
talked about that. I do like Texas A&M winning that game. I think it's a game though.
I think it's close enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, 7 to 10 points.
Yeah. Then they get Bethune-Cookman at home, win. They go to Temple, win. They get Georgia Tech at home, win.
Win. Yeah.
Okay, so they are 5-1. They're 5-1 mid-October. They go to North Carolina.
I think this is your A&M Auburn. Like, to me, this is a coin flip. Again, you run into Drake May. Drake May in midseason form, if we're just looking at last year, and of course we can't, like, the dude's nuts. I mean, he's a true Heisman candidate. If Drake May is legit, they drop this game.
Mm-hmm.
If Drake May's doing what he did last year, they drop this game. If Drake May comes with that crap that he had in the end of the year, and I said crap because he set the standard very high, very high. If that's what the kind of stuff he's on, then yeah, I'm taking Miami. So to me, this is not even dependent on Miami, which kind of sucks. But it's because you have such a superstar on the other side of the field. So my official prediction, I'm going to take Miami in this one.
I'm going to take North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, North Carolina's playing this one at home. Like you talked about with Drake May. I know their receiving core. They lose Josh Downs. Like
That's rough.
The pieces aren't all there the way they were last year. Their defense took a step up. They had a bad defense last year.
Right.
But I think Drake May is just that. I think he's the guy that can put the game on his shoulders and go win a game for you. Depending on how Miami schemes this, it could be a really close game. I do think it could be one of those coin flip games like you were talking about, but it's hard for me to bet against Drake May in this matchup.
Yeah, I feel that. And I hope Drake May's good, honestly. By me taking Miami, I don't mean Drake May's not going to be good. I just mean he's going to need a whole lot of yards in this one. He's going to need a couple touchdowns, So we'll see. We'll see. Again, it's almost a coin toss for me.
They get Clemson at home. I think this is a game that Miami's going to get up for. This is Clemson is the team in the ACC, at least in recent history. We've had a couple segments already. You know how I feel about Florida State being up there now. But Clemson hadn't gone anywhere. They're a really solid team, great in the front seven on defense, great quarterback or largely unproven, but potentially great quarterback.
5-star quarterback.
Great running back. I think Clemson's solid. They're going to win this game by 14 or more.
Me too. I think it's a big win.
They get Virginia at home, win.
Yeah.
They get NC State on the road. I think they win.
I think so too.
They go to Florida State. I think that's another loss.
I think that's a blowout. I think they go to Florida State and get stomped. Like, I'm talking about 17-21.
So at this point, they already have 4 losses. So we both have them at 6-4 here. In their 11th game of the year, they get.
Sorry, you took Florida State?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 11th game of the year, November 18th, they get Louisville at home. This one's tricky. Louisville at this point could be a 1 or 2 loss team and potentially ranked top 20, top 15.
Yeah, I agree.
And
that's largely in part to their schedule.
Yeah, but they're a talented team as well. They have one of the most favorable schedules in the ACC. I want to say they play, is it 4 of the 4 worst odds teams in the ACC?
Yeah.
Maybe not all 4 of them, but regardless, their schedule is really favorable.
Yeah.
I want to say they have the 4th best odds behind Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina.
Solely based off of schedule.
Not solely based off of schedule, but largely,
largely
based off of schedule. I think Miami can go out and win this game.
Me too, especially at home.
I think it'll be a very tight game. I think Louisville will probably lead several points in the game.
Yeah.
I could see back and forth, but I think Miami finds a way to win.
Yeah, I feel that.
And then they
go to Boston College.
And they go to Boston College and win.
Blowout. Yeah.
So I have them 8-4.
Yeah, me too.
And again, I think 8-4 is.
I'm gonna make one. Go ahead.
I think 8-4 is a great season for them, especially coming off what they've done in recent history. it's not where they want to be, but I think Mario Cristobal is really turning this program around. I think they're less than.
Sorry, I have them 9-3.
You have them 9-3?
Yeah, I had them beating UNC.
That's. I mean, look,
We're
we're
dropping games to A&M, Clemson, and Florida State.
we're one game apart, but that's a big difference.
Yeah,
8-4,
I mean, you look at it,
9-3.
right? I mean, but there's a lot of definite wins, and there, to us, is a couple definite losses. So, Miami, Ohio, Bethune-Cookman, Temple, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Boston College. I mean, you're talking about 6 games on the schedule that, as far as you and I are concerned, could be taken off the schedule. When you're picking between 6 games and you have them dropping one that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I have them beating UNC, but and to be fair, I think that's an upset. I think UNC's an upset. So we'll see. But yeah, I got them 9-3.
Yeah, so I had them 8-4. I don't necessarily. I do disagree with what you said in terms of outcome, but I see where you're coming from.
Right.
I have them 8-4. I feel like I'm always the one giving out less wins, so fans just attack me.
A little stingier. So.
But regardless, I think what Mario Cristobal is doing over there is really impressive with their recruiting, with the way he's turning this program around. I think they're less than 5 years away from really, really competing for the ACC.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. Even if the ACC exists in its current form in 5 years. If it does, I think they're really competing.
Yeah. They'll compete with all the freaking teams that are in the Group of 5 right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, those are the 3 teams that we were going to break down today. SEC Media Day is going on right now. I know LSU, Texas A&M, and Missouri, I want to say, spoke on Monday. And then we have, obviously, the rest of the field coming today through Thursday. Obviously, it's Tuesday we're filming.
Right.
So, excited to see what's going on over there. We'll probably cover a little bit of that next week and then get into a couple other teams. I know you mentioned Notre Dame.
Yeah, I want to go. Yeah, I want to hit them.
Cool.
Ole Miss? We
Yeah, we did. We talked about Ole Miss.
Okay, yeah.
Cool. Anything, Mikey?
I'm good.
Say something, man.
Magic Mikey Shiaza?
Say anything.
Nah, I think I'm good. I said my piece. I said my few little
No,
tidbits.
the first time you said you're good, you didn't have your mic on, so that was good. That was
Yeah,
big.
because I didn't have anything to say. Now you're talking to me, so I had to.
Because you were good. I mean,
Cool.
yeah.
You got anything else?
I'm good, man.
Cool. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We have a Clips account. We have several other podcasts here at Culture Media. Our owner, Anthony Ronaldo, has the Up and In show, and then we have several other things coming down the line. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank y'all.